Bihangsul, or the Way of Years. In the days before the South Korean government's conscious push for a manufactured brand of culture in Korean, what the statesmen call soft power, and the public calls Hallyu, or the Korean Wave, one hinterland neighborhood of Hongdae lay comparatively underdeveloped. Hongdae is one of Seoul's most lively university areas, popular for its artistic aspirations, sprawling cafes, and endless nightlife. By way of contrast, this neighborhood's one blemish of culture was a cafe featured in a Korean drama that had the power to attract middle-aged Japanese women. Groups of them could often be seen staring helplessly into little maps of the neighborhood, just yards away from their desired retreat. But who is without these little whirlwinds of escape? I cherish my own, and doubtless have looked as helpless and silly seeking them as those women with their maps and sun visors. These places, after all, can come to define micro-eras in one's life. And later, they make time travel possible. Step in now and return to then. One moment I'm caught up in present dramas, the drearies of the day. Then, as if pushed along by the wind, I glide back to the dusty past, to timeless moments lambent with the yellow glow of nostalgia. These fancies of time travel, these indulgences of wistfulness, almost certainly lead to a melancholic list, if not for the inability to actually relive these scenes we carry around with us, then for the gold light we set them in, and for the inevitable return of the ballast of the gray present. Once upon a time, feeling alienated by the enthusiasm and the heart of Hongdae's pleasure quarter, I wandered out into this hinterland neighborhood. In those days, aside from the concentration of businesses between the metro and the university that gave the neighborhood its name, there were fewer storefronts or people about. Beyond that central commotion, some portions of the street even approached what one would call darkness. The gayness of summer prevailed, though, and I was determined to discover a new seat from which I could observe the wanderings of the street as I washed down the anxieties of the week. From a street corner I gazed on my options until I spotted a glimmer from what looked like a third-floor bedroom. It was a miniature disco ball that acted as a lighthouse that night, directing me toward the odd treehouse-like entrance of Bihangsul. Contrary to what the Korean novice or even native might assume, its name has nothing to do with either airplanes, bihangi, or alcohol, sul. Rather, its homonyms in Korean give it the meaning of the method of the wrong way, or delinquent method. In hindsight, there is an appropriate irony to the fact that a place bearing this name could attract a crowd I call friends, and act as a container for a collection of memorable nights. Inside, the dimly lit ballroom does indeed feel like someone's bedroom, with a statue of the Virgin Mary, a shrine to an ever-revolving cast of dead celebrities, a converted bunk bed, and random figurine collections of characters that starred in obsolete cartoons. It's a bedroom curated by a Shinjuku hippie. Back then, it had felt like the house of the high school friend whose parents were never home. Like an escape to a place you could call your own, a place where the music and surroundings had an aesthetic with purpose. Years in the future, the neighborhood now has exploded with the verb of Hallyu and the consumption that it gives sound and characters to. The darkness of the streets has disappeared. I go up the treehouse ladder into Bihangsul, searching for a small darkness to hold on to, escaping the noise that floods the streets. Juan sits behind the bar. He's been gone for a few years, but he's back, and so am I. On my first night here, he looked like a surfer boy, hair to his shoulders, shorts, and a tie-dyed t-shirt. He was playing California Dreamin'. In the years between that night and this one, a casual but stunted friendship bloomed, like an early spring bud denied full flower by a cold night. In those years, Juan held a number of odd jobs at pubs, cafes, and a curry bar, and I was often his patron. We had a short-lived band, too. He sang and I played drums. In smoky basements and at Bihangsul's legendary Day of the Dead, we strove through music, and unfairly before an audience, to reclaim a lost thrill, like the first night in a new city or the reckless hour of youth. Tonight, the mood is more subdued. The tables are empty, though there's a couple on the top berth of the bunk bed. The somber voice of Caetano Veloso sings out across the empty room. In his sighs, the solitary candles set on each empty table waver. Juan is an actor, although a livelihood from the stage or screen still eludes him. He's been in several films, and he always seems to have something going on. Strangely enough, I had never seen any of these films, but given his expressive, animated face, I was sure that he wasn't half bad. His hair is short now, and beginning to show the dreaded signs of wear that some men are inflicted with. Over a beer, we talk about the glowing past, the very thing that pulled me out of the house this evening and into the press of the city. According to Gongzi, it's these moments of meeting friends from afar, and 5 years is indeed a faraway place, that is surely a pleasure in life. This stands in contrast to Schopenhauer, who saw these moments as little hells, lit by the fires of the bitter feeling of being cheated by time. I stood somewhere between the two. Juan and I are both smiling, but is it only happiness we feel? Surely, there is something else, something in the shadow Schopenhauer casts. Difficult questions. Is this how it had gone by? In smiles and drinks, in dimly lit rooms that resounded with California Dreamin' elation, Caetano Veloso gloom? Did we slowly become something else? Did we leave our other selves behind there, like ghosts? Customers begin to make the noisy march up the ladder and into the candle and lantern-lit room. A puppy appears and runs about, wagging its tail while sniffing the newcomer's boots. 2 youngish women claim a window seat. They look onto the street below and the incessant nighttime crowd as they wait for Juan. Coming back with their order, he nods in their direction. "Cocktails," he says. "Cocktails," I echo. Sip my beer and take off my hat. Juan studies my forehead a moment. "You're losing your hair," he declares. I instinctively run my fingers through it. "So are you," I respond. We both laugh. "Back when I had long hair," Juan confesses, "girls used to come in here and always ask for my number." He sighs. "Not anymore." "Why don't you grow it out again?" Juan waves the idea away. "I'm too old for long hair. You could shave it all off." "It's not that bad yet, is it?" He feels around where his forehead and hair meet. "Shaving will never work," he says, looking genuinely displeased. "It could work for you. Your head is round, mine's all lumpy." We both laugh again and then grow quiet. Caetano Veloso croons, "World is my name." As business picks up, Juan puts a laptop on the bar. Too busy to entertain his guest with conversation, he puts his latest film on for me to see. It's too noisy now to hear the dialogue, but the plot is clear enough. Juan stares out from the screen, slightly more dapper than in person, silently trying to persuade, but without success. There are some comedic moments, but the laughs are always on him, and in the end, it's disappointment that's funny. In the dizzying light of the disco ball, I watch the film wand fade from the screen, and I finish my drink. I understand the disappointment and the humor in it.
I am the sun, the darkness. My name is Green Wave Death. Salt, South America's my name. World is my name, my side.